Every day, we strive to do more and be the best versions of ourselves. It's not an easy task, but success is available for each of us. Welcome to the Swag University podcast, where each week we explore insightful messages, strategies, and tips to help you level up in life. Your host, Dr. Phildra Swagger, creative strategist and mindset coach, will empower you with the tools you need to create the life and business you desire, while providing inspirational insights to the woman who wants to see her destiny manifested daily. So now, let's level up with Dr. Swag.
Hey, everybody. It's your girl, Dr. Swag. I hope you are having a wonderful day. I'm having a swagtastic day. I don't know where I got that word from, but that's how I feel today. It has been a beautifully blessed day, and I have an even bigger blessing for you right now. I have my friend, Dr. Elvis Epps, with me to discuss with you how to do more, achieve more, be more by doing less. Hi, Elvis.
Hey, my friend, how you doing today?
Oh, it is so fantastic. I am doing great. And so Dr. Elvis, Dr. Epps, I just like to call him Doc, is passionate about serving and coaching others in living a more productive and abundant life. He's delivered keynote speeches and seminars across the country. He provides valuable information that is not only motivating, but inspiring and encouraging to young people, as well as adults and corporate leaders, educators alike. He is a principal, actually, in South Florida, where he leads young people through all kind of experiences, making sure that they understand that they can be more, that they can make a difference in their lives. And you can read about this in his books. He's written too. You Make the Difference in Teaching with Purpose and Passion. And he's brought those messages forward on Oprah's XM radio network. He's talked about bullying prevention, creating safer schools, mean girls, climate controls. He's also been a guest on the Meet the Peeps with Holly Robinson and Rodney Peete. He is phenomenal in his message. He's trained as a certified John Maxwell leadership coach, trainer, and speaker. I could go on and on about my friend, but what I want to do is turn it over to him and have him tell us about this phenomenal journey and how he motivates, how he encourages, and how he gets people, young people and people of all ages, to do more with less. Can you do that for us, Doc?
Hey, how you doing? Thank you so much, Doc, for having me on today. I'm very excited to share personal journey of success, and one that has I've endured blood, sweat, and tears, probably more than the victory, as they used to say on ABC Sports, the agony of defeat. But through perseverance, I continue to rise, get up, and just keep marching on, because my goal was bigger than the pain I felt when I fell. And so I just stayed focused, and I appreciate you for having me on today.
Oh, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. Now, you have gone through years of educational prep and experience, and I believe even military career, correct?
Yes, 12 years in the U.S. Navy.
12 years as a Navy in the U.S. Navy. What has that journey done for you to be prepared for this time to serve in the way that you do?
When I became a man, I was in the military. And what better place for a young man who's in search of self to become a man, to grow up in that, in the parameters, the guidelines of the U.S. military, the U.S. Navy. I'm stationed in Norfolk, Virginia. The reason why I joined the Navy was one, I was not happy as a college student. I was all-state track and field in the state of Mississippi, and I was on a track and field scholarship at Alcorn State University. Mm-hmm. And after my junior year, it started tugging at me. Something made me ask the question, how much will the job pay me when I graduate, one more year in college? And I looked at the starting salary, and I don't even know if I cried. I know my knees got weak. I'm like, I'm spending all these hours for this? This is the opening salary? I said, I have to do something better. And I decided to go ahead. My father served in the Navy back in World War II in 1944 when he was drafted. out of Mississippi. And I had no desire to go to the military, but I knew I needed another option. And so I decided to join. A lot of my friends, my mom was the only one, like my biggest supporter. She said, son, if you feel in your heart it's time to move on, then do so. But my professor, my girlfriend at the time in the college was disappointed. I can't believe you did this. And I said, look, I got to make this move. And so I did, and I traveled the world. I went to San Diego, California, and I served and ended up in Norfolk, Virginia. And, 4 years there, and long story short, I was on a U.S. A Navy destroyer. And then I ended up in Florida, where I was in church visiting there. I met my wife at the time, was a young lady, was working on her master's degree, and we started talking. And I knew I needed to go back. It was just my girlfriend at the time. And shortly after that, we got engaged. And when we got married, it was time for me to go back and finish that last year. And so I ended up doing my last year of college at University of Central Florida in Orlando, Florida. And while I was there, I was in search of, what can I do with the 94 college hours I already have? What can I do with those? And she said, have you ever thought about education? I said, I thought about coaching, but not really teaching. And so I got the degree, and I just started applying. And someone called me from alternative ed. True story, I'm telling you. Mm-hmm. The first day I checked in, I didn't know what alternative education was, but I knew I got a job teaching. So I go to this building, and I noticed this barbed wire around the outer edges of the building.
No. Okay,
alternative ed. Okay, where am I going? So I go in the lobby. Person met me in the lobby. Hey, how you doing? You Elvis? Yeah, hey, how you doing? Well, welcome. This is, the Juvenile Detention Center. Okay. And we were going to the classroom, and I heard this big clunk, this like click, click sound. And I said, what in the world? You had to open one door, and before you go into the next door, the other door had to slam behind you. And I said, what in the world? And then they opened another door. Then that door has to close before I went through another door. I said, where am I? You're at the Juvenile Detention Center. I asked a dumb question. I knew where I was. Before you get in the classroom, you had to call, I don't know what you call it, the radio person said, look, I'm going into room so-and-so. They were electronically open the door. Click. Then that last door closed behind me. There were about 40-some teenage fellows there. Hey, this is Mr. Epps. It's going to be one of our new teachers. And I'm looking, this is not a classroom. It was their room where they just gathered and socialized, but that was where we were teaching today.
Wow.
And I'm looking
like around. A pod area?
It was a pod, exactly what it was.
Oh, my goodness.
They had 3 pods, and I was in one of the pods, and I'm looking around, and I'm like, these kids are gangsters. They thought I was a former police officer. They started looking. Here is the wonderful story in the end. Turned out to be the best 7.5 years of my life. I met so many young people who were murderers, rapists, robbers, drug dealers, and I'm talking about 14, 15. I had an 8-year-old who was I didn't have him, but an 8-year-old locked up in a juvenile detention center who hit his mom with a shovel. She had to have him arrested. She was pregnant. She just needed some time to rest. And he took a shovel and he hit his mom with it. And so she had him arrested. And I met so many guys. One of the guys that really tugged at my heart, he was one of the little street gangs of the gangster, one of the little gang members. I won't give them any glory by mentioning their names. He wrote out the alphabets and signs that if I saw them, he was nervous because of his life. He said he's glad he's locked up because if he was out, they would definitely kill him. And he wrote out all the alphabets, and believe it, that was 20 years ago, 20-some years ago, and I still have it today. 20 years ago, I still have it today as a keepsake to remember him and why I do what I do. And I connected with him when no one else, young Hispanic male, and he told me all the signs, this is what you look for, and this is what that means. And if you talk to any young people, this is what they need to know about this life in a gang. And now I'm the top dog, and now that I'm in jail, got arrested, they think I'm a snitch, so they out to kill me. I don't know if he lasted shortly after he got out, but, you can't stay in there forever.
Right.
And so I left there, and it's like 2 o'clock in the morning. I remember it like it was yesterday. I woke up wide awake like it was 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It was God telling me, I need you to leave the juvenile detention center, and I need you to go to elementary.
Mm.
And I'm like, no, I can't do elementary. You going to elementary, God said. So I ended up going to elementary. While I'm walking, I'm going to see a friend that I knew was teaching. This is a funny. I'm going to talk to a friend who's one of the deans at the elementary school, so I can learn the ropes, because I said I need to do something, because by the time I see these young men in middle and high school, they're already deep into crime, deep into drugs. I need to do something with my life. And so I went to see him, and we started talking. And before I could get to him, the principal stopped me and said, hey, you work with my mom. I said, yeah, your mom's a secretary and your dad one of the science teachers, great parents. He said, yeah, I'm the principal here. I said, hey, congratulations. He said, are you looking for elementary? I said, yeah, I'm just coming. I want to learn more. I want to move to elementary. He said, I'm going to have a job for a dean next year if you'd like to have it. I said, that sounds good. I would like to think about that, because he says, you're not teaching, but you really like helping out with discipline. You helping me out with a lot of things around campus. I said, it sounds good. Let me get back with you on that, but I think I may take you up on that. So I went to see my friend, and we started talking. I said, hey, you got a real nice principal. He said, oh, yeah, he's a nice guy. I said, yeah, he just offered me a job. He said, I'm going to be, he offered me the job of dean. He said, that's interesting. I said, why is that? He said, I'm the dean. I'm like, okay. I'm like, what have you been doing today? I tried to change subjects, but I guess he found out that day indirectly that he's going to be booted, and it was. So I was there in the fall, and it was one of the schools. It was one of the schools that was where all the Haitian students went to in Orlando Elementary, and turned to be a turning point working with those young people. And so I just started working and talking with these young people, and I noticed, part of my journey of being in the military is I believe in standard operating procedures, that you must have three things you really, really, really focus on. Understand the culture and climate, well, that's under one umbrella. The next one is systems of accountability. And once you get those in place, the instruction should come easily. But I noticed if you can also start with instructions, that if I'm doing instruction, what needs to be in place to be successful? You need systems of accountability, but the culture also has to be in the right place. And you need people who really love children. And that's what I noticed a lot from working with that generation, that a lot of people have the job, but there was no love for the kids.
Yes.
And so I learned back then to keep food in my classroom, my office, go visit them. And when a parent was sick, I would knock on their doors, whether it's on late at night or on the weekends. I would go and see how they're doing if they missed school. If they needed something, I would do. They need shoes. But I noticed not enough African-American men would do that, and not enough people would do that for our people, young people of color. And so it bothered me, but it didn't slow me down. I was driven to continue to do what I can for those young people. And they still stay in touch today, 20-some years later.
Oh, that's
They still call me Mr. Epps.
That's beautiful. That's a testimony, because, it's almost as if you stumbled into your purpose,
I sure did.
Yeah.
Sure did.
And then made yourself available for God to use you in that purpose to continue to serve first very at-risk kids, and then not ask you, but to reassign you. It's almost like the school district. My background is education. They reassign you. Administration reassigns you to the building they want you to be in. But God reassigns you.
Yes, it is.
And when God reassigning you to elementary, I feel, and I don't know that you had shared that story with me before, but he was having you to break generational curses, to get to a place where you have time to impact and make a difference.
Absolutely.
And that's just what elementary school is. You agree, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
That was the biggest thing. One of the things that I've noticed over my 27 years in education is that people, what got you to one point doesn't necessarily get you to the next. Mm-hmm. Things have changed. You can see the terminology, even the text messages among our young people. Once you think you've mastered one form of communication or social media platform, they quickly change, almost like gypsies or nomads in their mind, because they don't want the mass majority of anyone over 21 following them or understanding their codes. So they learn to code switch quickly in their own language. And so and we have to do this. But this is where schools are failing. I go to schools, and when I work with principals and I work with my own staff, and I walk the campus for what I call a front door to back door analysis, and I share with them, if you went to sleep and you woke up 20 years ago, would you be able to tell the difference from your classroom and how you're teaching? And they said, no. And you get some people be very honest. I said, so why are we teaching a new Generation Z kids, these brand new kids, the way you learned 20 years ago? Mm-hmm. If you didn't like it when you sat in the classroom with the straight rows, teacher talked to you, listen, you go home with nothing, why are you doing it? Mm-hmm. And so we work with that. And, just to throw in about a Generation Z, they're in a world of complexity and uncertainty. And three things really describe their society. They're overwhelmed, overcommitted, and overconnected. And they don't understand what needs to happen in their lives because the world they believe is moving so fast, but educational school platforms, we're not keeping up with them. That's why I tell teachers, yes, we do have a zero tolerance for technology in the classroom, cell phones. But I say, look at the world around them. Generation Z, this is all they know. So when you say zero tolerance for a cell phone, I say, how about turning that cell phone into a search? You don't have a laptop for this kid? Break out your phone. I need you guys to search something online. Mm-hmm. Or go to Khan Academy. You can use the phone. The phone is not the enemy. The phone is not the problem. It's that you're not open your mind, your growth mindset to the capabilities that it can bring and how it can enhance your lesson.
Exactly. So, and using it as a tool. And I think as we talk about leaders doing more with less and doing more, it's about setting goals and aligning what tools you have to really accomplish those goals. Yeah. And so when you think about that, how do you have take teachers, in your case, or business leaders, because you're very involved in the community as well, and help them recognize what tools are relevant to this generation to be able to enhance and reach their success?
Yeah, one of the things that's really helped me since I've been in this high school as well as the others, before I came to South Florida, I was at a lab school in North Florida, one of our state universities, the K-12 lab school. And I saw the difference between the have and the have-nots, or the got-nots. And so they got it and we don't. So there's a big difference between what's happening in Title I schools. What is not happening is the connection between what I call vertical alignments, the elementary, the middle, and the high school. They're not having that ongoing, continuous conversation on what's working. The elementary is teaching a skill set that may not necessarily or standard will be required in middle school. And the middle school is not communicating with the high school. The high school is not connecting with the college or university. What I have done since I've been here, I've partnered with the Dean of Education in the College of Education and the admissions director at the local college and university. They are telling me, as well as partnering with my JA members and Rotary members and leaders in the community, what exactly would my kids need to know and be able to do when they graduate from high school or college. And so I stay abreast by talking to the actual practitioners out there in the field. Mm-hmm. And so when I speak to the universities, they come on campus and they conduct trainings, soft skills, hard skills, creativity, innovation. These are things, teamwork, collaboration, distance learning platforms. How do you do some things under the STEM, the science, technology, engineering, and math? How do you do these things? Florida State said you need at least a minimum of pre-calculus to even be considered for college at Florida State University. So my teachers need to know this, and they need to understand this in the conversation. So part of my newsletters that I send out to them are some helpful tips on how to help our kids succeed. And so we have to look at the courses, and this is a great piece you're talking about. How do we do more with less? Well, you do more with less by understanding, utilizing the tools you have, learn how to empower and release, and that is getting kids to do more of the thinking. And you ask the essential or guiding questions and get them to work in teams and collaboration and come up with an outcome. It may not be what you thought about. They may show you something you never even considered, but they were going to be creative and just say, okay, kids, I'm releasing this to you. I'm not going to tell you how to solve it, but I know for a fact, Doc, that that the number one thing I've noticed in classrooms is, well, two things, is how do we empower students to think, and then what the level of questioning that we ask. When we ask the right questions, we will get the right answers.
I have to say amen to that. And it's being clear, present, bold, intentional to ask the question.
Yes.
And asking those questions will reap. If you ask, how does it go? Knock, you shall receive. Ask, you shall receive. Seek, you shall find.
Yeah.
And that's the whole, in a nutshell, what it is, moving toward action and being in action, to ask for what it is that you want and need and how to expand that.
One of the things that and you're absolutely right, sometimes people don't ask. I was just sitting down. Every year we do a Thanksgiving food distribution, and then I do a Christmas tour drive, because I take my students. We visit hospitals on Christmas Eve. Now, the first thing we do, we meet Thanksgiving Day in the parking lot here at my high school, and we distribute over 2,000 meals.
2,000?
Over 2,000. Last year we gave out 2,100. So this year we requested 2,500 meals to give out. Not only do we give out meals on campus, I take about 20 kids and I go in the neighborhood. I go to the trailer parks. I go to the homeless. We take about 50 meals and go to different parks where people are sleeping on the benches. And because I know for a fact what you do to the least of these, you've done also unto me. Mm-hmm. That has been my guiding principle, my point that everyone, even angels, walk among us, I believe. And so when you turn your back on those who do not have, who's going to help you when you don't have? Because I've been poor before. I know how to survive. I know how to make ends meet. And I know what it's like not having. And so God has blessed me to be in a position financially and with a connection socially, networking, that I can ask for things. I can ask for money. And one of my friends who's well-to-do, I said, look, I need money for toys. Okay, here's $5,000. I'm like, is this how you all live?
Just to give it for the kids, yeah.
Yeah, it's for the kids, but you have to tell them what you're going to do with the money. Mm-hmm. And so my kids are excited, but we take them in the community, part of community outreach. And when God said, go ye therefore, and you have to teach. And so I'm teaching this young generation Z that it's bigger than you. It's not about you. It's about those in the community who do not have. And you know what they told me?
What's that?
When can we do this again?
That's beautiful. And that is what I'm most excited about, is that when we use our life to plant seeds, that a harvest will come.
It's going to come.
Yeah. And we see it in our kids. And, you see it, you went all the way back to elementary. And those kids, I'm sure, are adults now.
Adults.
Yeah. And when they come back and say, Mr. Epps, or that day you said, or that time you did, or I remember when, then it's all worth it. And that's how those, I don't know if they're probably millennials now. People refer to millennials as the young people, but millennials are like in their 30s now, right? Yeah. And so the millennials that come back and impact the Gen Zs are the ones who continue to be a harvest. So, you've worked in education for years. You've had a military career, and you're in the community. What lessons or overlay can you share with our listeners who are nonprofit leaders and entrepreneurs or community agencies that want to be of service at the level you're serving?
One of the things that you really have to be, if you get into the field of service, and like I said, anyone, you don't need a title to be a leader. You can step out, whether government approve your proposal or not. If you're not about serving one another, if you're not about the community, if you start with the community first, I've seen this over the 30 years. If you start with service to one another, people will write the check because they know they can do it. And people watch. We even had a brown bag ministry when I was at church working with our young people. The older ladies in the church would put sandwiches and peppermints and some other stuff in a little small brown paper bag, and we would just drive the city every weekend just giving it out. inexpensive, peanut butter and jelly, sandwiches, crackers, whatever, and we will find people to give that to. So you have to start with the vision. You start with what you can do, and it must be easy, and God must call you to do it. You cannot be deceived about the voice of God and then what Satan is telling you. Satan would tell you to chase the paper, chase the money. God would say, I'll take care of your need. We walk by faith and not by sight, because he never called us to be perfect. He called us to be faithful. In doing so, you turn it over to God, and he'll take care of your need. Not to be a millionaire. That'll happen if it happens, but he will give you the ministry to go out and reach souls and save lives. He will bless you. So your foundation is, why are you doing this? Mm-hmm. And would you do it if you weren't getting paid? Mm-hmm. And so those are the things that drive me. Would I do this if I wasn't being paid for it? And the answer is yes, because I love working with young people. There's so many out there. So many come to me every day and just say, thank you, thank you, thank you. And it doesn't have to be anything big. Mm-hmm. You start small. Trust me, I went and bought over $1,000 worth of ice cream I have in the school refrigerator, freezer. Mm-hmm. And when a kid does something, I give them a little card that I had made from a company online, and it just says, thank you for being great. Here's a drop in your bucket, free ice cream. You think I gave these kids a $10 bill? I got ice cream. I'm getting ice cream, and it's 75 cents. Mm-hmm. Child, it's a drop to me. But to those kids, it's a gallon of appreciation. So, and we just have to work, find the right people. And here's the other piece, Doc. You must find people who follow your vision. You cannot follow someone else's dream or vision. It must be yours. And you must convey that, and you must live that. And where people see, they said, God must be with you, because the things you are doing and the blessing you're receiving, it has to be from God, because you're not the most qualified. You don't have the best proposal, but you're getting the best return on investment, and that is through God doing God's work.
Yeah, well, Jeremiah 29:11 is always a favorite of mine. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. And then you also know, eyes have not seen nor ears have heard what God has in store for you. So we don't know the journey.
No.
All we're assigned to do is to walk it out. So you are so right. Hear the word of God, understand when he's speaking to you, how that impacts your business, how that impacts you, and really to live a purpose-driven life, a life of intention and impact, really takes you where you want to be and where he wants you to be. I have a pastor that I listen to in the morning. I shouldn't say I listen to, that I pray with. He has a prayer life. That's his whole platform. He has a mission of getting 1 million people in his lifetime. No, 1 billion with the B, people in his lifetime engaged in prayer.
Right. Okay, you mentioned the word struggle, and there's a quote that I share with the students. It just simply goes by, without struggle, there would be no triumph. Without setbacks, there would be no feelings of victory and accomplishments. It's all part of the journey. And so God, the thing that we do every day, it's a continuous journey where God blesses us along the way, and he opened doors that we haven't seen, and take us to places we never thought of. But it's the journey of walking with Christ and Christ walking with us and holding our hands. Because, in our journey of business, sometime when we started having some kind of level of success, we tend to open our hands and release God. Mm-hmm. And release our hands, because he never went anywhere. He's still there. And we want to venture out. And that's one thing I really had to learn as I started speaking and trainings. I thought it was all about me. And then I had to realize, why am I the fool? Why am I running away and saying, God, can you open this door? I can hear him saying, son, I never told you to run over there. That's not the thing I want you to go through. And so I think I was in my late 40s, and then it dawned on me, no more running out there asking for the blessing. You ask for the blessing in prayer, and God will reveal it to you.
Correct.
This is what I want you to do. Like my prayer, and he spoke to me and woke me up at 2 o'clock in the morning many years ago and said, I want you to go to elementary school. So I just told everyone, I don't go anywhere without him telling me. You can't fire me. You can't move me. You can't force me out because you didn't bring me here. Mm-hmm. And so when God said move, I move.
That's right.
And so that has been my journey. When God asks you to start a business and you have the wrong people, you have to let them go because they would sabotage your plan.
Mm-hmm.
And you start blaming God, why did this happen? When God said, I told you not to hire them.
Mm-hmm.
So move beyond your gut and just listen to the voice of the Lord and, and harden not your heart because he definitely would tell you. And you don't have to second guess God because he's always right.
Yeah.
So right on time.
Right on time. And what I wanted to say, and to be reminded of, he says that when you make room for God, when you make what's important to you important to God, God will make what's important to him important to you.
Absolutely.
And it works that way every time. It's a principle.
Yep.
You can't get around it. You can't get over it. The more you add, strengthen your faith in the Lord, the more you will be blessed and your steps will be ordered.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I just want to ask you, and it's been a great conversation, and I know the audience is really, really getting all of this because
it's just part one now. We got part 2, 3, and 4.
We have part.
It's a series we're covering like we do in church.
I know, right? It's a series, and it's because it's always an evolving lesson. It's like life is such a journey, and every stage of it, I feel like it's such a time as this, and then he prepares me for the next. For such a time as this. And that's because I know that he's growing me and stretching me. He knew who I was when he formed me, right? Absolutely. But it's my journey to really explore it and develop it. And so it's just powerful that in this series that we're kicking off, what is the one hardest lesson, most important lesson that you've had to experience that you can share with the up-and-coming leader or entrepreneur to help them not have to endure the same time or same space or the same struggles on their journey?
Yeah, one of the things, and I'm glad I didn't do, I was getting ready to leave my job and step out as being this consultant and trainer, and you have everything in place. And because I had everything in place, I got the books, I got the doctorate degree, and everyone clapping and standing ovation, and you stand out there and you said, okay, I'm waiting for the phone to ring, and the phone's not ringing. The emails are not coming in to request you speaking. Your request for your books are not being sold, and so the hardship of the reality is you have to remain humble, and that's what I had to understand. And then, what are you willing to sacrifice, trade off? What are you willing to trade off for this? And when I really looked at it, and this is one thing that it really hit me. I was teaching, I'm speaking, I'm traveling, I'm an adjunct professor in a college of education, working at night after being principal. Here's one thing I really know that really brought it home. I went almost a day and a half, almost 2 days without seeing my daughters. I saw my wife, but seeing my girls. They were much younger at the time. And I said, that's a trade-off I'm not willing to make. I wanted the money. I wanted to be recognized. I wanted to get out there. And so you really have to understand as a leader, if God calls you to something, he would never, never, never ask you to separate yourself from the ones you love most, and that's your family.
Right.
And so I had to understand that from traveling. And one day my wife I was traveling here. I'm an ordained elder in the church, and I'm going to visit the sick and shut in. And then on the weekends, I'm going to homeless. And she told me one day I had another appointment. This is on the Sunday. I'm already a principal Monday through Friday and teaching college at night and teaching the young people doing the early in the mornings, part of their little school and serving, and then working with the youth in the afternoon. And she told me one day I was leaving, she said, don't forget that you are married. I was like, okay. So I really had to evaluate. I was about part of 4, 5, 6 different ministries. And so I narrowed it down to 3. And the 3 I wanted to do, not the 3 that the board say, hey, we were thinking about you. Can you? The answer is no. Here are the 3 I like to do because I can do these easily and I don't have to do anything. So I would encourage leaders to really search their hearts. Is it truly a calling from God, or is this something you're trying to chase papers so you can buy this mansion and car? Your motives have to be right. And I have to really be honest with myself and say that I really need to And I stopped with the traveling. I stopped with the invitations to come and speak because I really had to prioritize to let my wife know that she is number one in my life, to let my daughters know they are number two in my life, and then let God know that overall He comes first. Mm-hmm. So in my standing, God is first, family second. Mm-hmm. And then, security, being there for my wife, not necessarily a security alarm on my house, but knowing that I got her back and she feels safe when I'm around and I'm close by. And we are connected, not just quantity time, but quality time together. And that's what we have been doing. I really had to reshuffle my priorities and really make it happen. So leaders just have to find out what it is that they like to do. If you're passionate about something, it leads to your purpose. And when you find your purpose, God would open those doors for you to be successful at the next level. And on our next series, whenever we talk about, I'm going to talk about the 9 keys for God's chosen people, how God can take these 9 keys can really help you and establish, and they all begin with the letter D. And so you can take these things and you can really help you as you hone in on your life. And so, and I've been speaking on these 9 for many years. So I've really honed in on how do we take these things and really make them work so we can do more with less and continue to do God's work in such a chaotic society.
Well, I tell you, your message today in Series 1 has been tremendous. So I thank you for sharing your journey, your pearls of wisdom with the audience so that we can continue to grow, continue to build businesses that continue to build a kingdom, and continue to gratify God in what it is that He has blessed us with. So absolutely. I thank you so much.
Thank you so much, my friend.
Yes. So to all the audience, I hope you have been blessed today. And as always, I encourage you to stay blessed to be a blessing. It's your girl, Dr. Swag, letting you know I love you. Love, peace, and happiness to you always.
Glad you joined our conversation. For more Swag University episodes, subscribe on iTunes and help us level up by leaving a 5-star review. For more information and free resources, visit our website at swaguniversity.com with 2 G's. That's SWAGG University.com. Also, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter to keep the conversation going. Until next time, we hope this episode has inspired you to manifest your destiny and level up today.